Hi guys, welcome to Engelgeist. This is Dan. Thank you for tuning in. For those of you that are new, welcome. For those of you that are returning, welcome back. For those of you that support me over on Patreon, thank you so very much for your subscriptions. They're greatly appreciated. If you're interested in supporting the channel in that way, please feel free to look at the video description on the YouTube channel. It will tell you all the different ways you can support the channel. It also gives you insight into how these videos should best be utilized and instruction on what you should do after having watched these videos. So please pay attention to that video description. It's kind of important information. Let's get into the cards. This is a daily reading for the greater collective. Therefore, it pertains to many people, quite possibly you. If it doesn't make sense, that's okay. It may not be for you. It might be just for many others. It is originally created for, oh my God, I don't even know what day it is. Tuesday the 16th of March, but it's not only meant for that day. It can be used whenever you see it. So if it fits your life on the date that you're seeing it, then it's your reading. So just take it as you will. All right, let's get into this. And for my regular reading, my regular watchers, you guys get, we'll just build upon the cards that we've seen previously this week so you'll understand. All right, so let's see what card comes out today. So we have that Nine of Swords. We saw her in the midweek on Sunday, and it was interesting to me because she felt like she was warding off sort of negative thoughts, or we were having to face some negative thoughts, some negative feelings. The Nine of Swords can indicate nightmares, overactive imagination, fears, worries, doubts, kind of attacking us from all ends and us freaking out. So she's here today. She's here a little early, actually. We have that Nine of Pentacles underneath her, right? Because we're still actually... Are we? Well, no, we're kind of midweek. We're going into the middle week. So her showing up again, I wouldn't be surprised if some of us are stressed out, worried, unable to sleep, having, feeling like we're being watched. Or in my case, personally, I feel like, the world is against me in some way, shape, or form. And so I can associate and relate to this card right now quite well. All of those eyes on her body feel like sort of we're maybe like looking at our value through how the outside environment is treating us. And I don't necessarily think that that's a fair assessment, but it's hard to not want to do that. Like when we're not getting our way in the world, or when we're being mistreated in a certain way or not seen, not validated, we have a tendency to take it personally and think maybe it's something that we've done wrong. And so that could be some of the energy that you are like dealing with, fending off, trying to, not allow to overtake you. So be aware of that. I'm going to say, because this is sort of this shift into the midweek and we see this card and this was our midweek card, be careful today with your mental space, your thoughts, your focus on where you place your focus. Like if it's on yourself, be kind to yourself today is kind of the message that I'm getting, only because this Nine of Swords would indicate a pretty stressful environment, a pretty worrisome and anxiety-filled environment. Go easy on yourself. Be kind. Try not to be too critical. If those of you are feeling like you're, these sets of eyes here that are all over her body, if these sets of eyes are your eyes or your opinions focused on others, be a little bit kind. Let up a little bit and let others sort of be, if you can, versus looking for, it's kind of like look for the similarities rather than the differences. Right? And if those of us that are feeling different than everybody else, feeling like we're sort of being put out in the cold or not being appreciated, or we're worried about, finances or whatever, be mindful of the fact that we too will get through this. We can handle this, right? But we sort of might need to nurture ourselves, calm ourselves down a bit. I can certainly relate to this card right now after the day I had yesterday. For those of you that don't know, I was in a car accident, so it kind of really shook me up. So this card, it's funny that it's showing up because all of these eyes are giving me this vibe of, okay, Dan, calm down. It's going to be okay. But sometimes it feels like the universe is like actively working against us. And that would be the feeling of this Nine of Swords card. So I can relate to this card certainly today. If you're feeling this way, or you're feeling maybe like you're being judged, watched, invalidated in some way, shape, or form by an outside source, or, not feeling quite connected to your environment, I don't want to say that that's a bad thing. I think that the cards are predicting that might be exactly where we are. We might just be dealing with experiences that are really hard. We're just going to have to let them be really hard. One moment. Sorry, guys. I had to answer a call. I wasn't sure if that was insurance people or what. All right. So if you are feeling detached from your environment, or feeling threatened by your environment, or just not at one with the environment, that would be this Nine of Swords card. What I do like about the depiction of this card is the beauty of these flowers in the background. Like, this too shall pass. It will hopefully come to an end at some point. Like a new day will dawn. I would say the best thing for us when this card appears is to try and get rest, be kind, nurture ourselves. And nines always indicate that sort of personal closure, reaching that personal closure with something. So if there's something that's been weighing heavy on our mind, be it a relationship or a situation that's frustrating to us, it might be a little bit more on our mind, more so than normal, and it might be a little bit frustrating to us. But you know what? Hopefully this too signifies the end is coming soon, right? With this, right? In our thoughts and in our mind. And then, oh my God, we have my dear friend. She's back. Card number 47, but she is number 11 numerologically. Again, this is really impactful. Something is going on here. The story that I told yesterday with this Emperor and this card, this My Dear Friend card, I feel like this is still that same person or problem in our life. It's somebody dear to us. I feel like this card is outside of us, and that's why it's called My Dear Friend. I feel like this could be a loved one. This could be a relative, somebody we care deeply about, but they are not necessarily, I don't know how I want to put this, either at the same level of where we're at. The snow in My Dear Friend gives me a callousness with which I don't sense in the Nine of Swords. The Nine of Swords feels like, if you relate more to the Nine of Swords side of things, you are up all night worrying about yourself, your relationship to this person. How are things going to fix itself or work out? Why can't I get along with this person? Or whatever your thoughts are around that. And that's causing you undue stress. My Dear Friend to me feels quite fine being sort of, I hate to say it, but in her own little world. Like, I don't get, it's interesting to me with this card, I get a very cold, detached feeling from this card. It's also, and I'll explain to you why, there's this fading of her dress color, the snow, the antlers, the look on her face, the fact that this caribou or whatever is heading towards the future or heading away from this card here says to me that My Dear Friend doesn't give a shit about this person. And yesterday we had that Emperor versus My Dear Friend, right? Which that Emperor was much more calm, centered, communicative. Now we're not maybe in that place. We might be feeling a little bit more anxiety-ridden, upset, frustrated with said situation. But it's not going to solve anything for us to be too obsessive with it or worried about it. My Dear Friend doesn't seem like she gives a shit, if I'm being completely honest. I'm going to reread My Dear Friend to you. And she's also number 11, which means this is a significant thing that's happening for some of us. This is surrounding our relationships in some way. I don't know why I get this feeling when maybe it's the name My Dear Friend makes me. Also, too, the translucency of the antlers or the feet on the caribou. It's like she's present, but she's not really in our life. right? Like it's like almost like the memory of her still haunts us to some degree. Or, I mean, I could certainly use this. I can attribute this to my mother, for Christ's sakes. Like the memory of her, and our relationship haunts me. And that's how I'm sort of viewing these cards in reference to me. But for each one of you, it may be a different relationship, right? And if I'm up suffering sleepless nights or worry over it, I probably shouldn't be, because the feeling that I get from the My Dear Friend card is that it's not worth it. That ultimately that this dear friend is only going to do what this dear friend wants to do when they want to do it, how they want to do it, without much concern for me or anyone else. Does that make sense? So let me read it to you again. It's lifelong friendship, dependability, and solidarity. If you recall the card The Journey, you may recognize a similar scene here with a woman riding a deer, but this time both the woman and the deer are much older. Time has passed and the two are still companions. They have seen many seasons together, many sunny joys and cold sorrows. Their wisdom has grown like the graceful antlers the woman holds for comfort. The deer supports her and she returns a loving touch to her dear friend. I love that, right? It's her dear friend, but those antlers to me feel like the piercing words that loved ones of ours can give us. Does that make sense? Like, I do not get a sense of warmth from this My Dear Friend card. I feel like this is somebody that, to be honest, I want to say we can't trust them. We need to be cautious with them. That this might be a repeated pattern with this person where we continue to go back expecting sort of different results and it doesn't quite work. And I'm still getting that same read that I had similar yesterday. And the stone was forgive, right? And the underpinning stone of all of this, the grounding stone for this week, is that emphasis on love. But I do think we need to love ourselves first and foremost. We can certainly love the person representative of My Dear Friend, but we don't necessarily have to have them in our lives. Because I kind of feel like this person, those antlers feel sharp and piercing to me. This is on malachite, which is associated with the fourth chakra or the heart. The word is touch. I think that we need to touch base with our own heart. Again, that brings me back to the original grounding stone this week of love. I feel like this is about us taking care of ourselves. I love how the woman in the Nine of Swords is touching her own arm, sort of self-caring for herself, even though she might be feeling angst or upset, worry, fear, those sort of things. So I would say touching base with our own heart and taking care of ourselves first and foremost, maybe removing the focus from My Dear Friend or how they may be acting, treating us, ignoring us, whatever it is they might be doing in their world. Let them stay in their world. I will say this, that My Dear Friend card with the snowstorm, it feels very lonely there. We may be suffering in our world if we associate with the Nine of Swords. We might be suffering and worrying on our end, but they're not doing quite that much better either, if that makes any sense. That's the feeling that I'm getting. I hope that makes sense, you guys. I know that this is strange to me that we're seeing these cards repeated. Both of these cards have been repeated. This is the second time we're seeing them this week. So care for yourself, be mindful of your thoughts, and stay in that state of love, stay in that state of forgiveness, but also with this idea of touch, or being in our heart, touching our heart center, being in touch with what our heart tells us. That doesn't necessarily mean that we have to like sort of forgive them or allow them in to hurt us again. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. If it doesn't, you can leave me a comment and say it doesn't, or you can leave a comment or a question and I will try and answer them. If this is representing to any of you or making sense to you, please leave me a comment, because this feels very specific to a specific relationship in each and everybody's life that's watching this video. And so I don't know when you're going to be watching this video, but even if you watch this video months from now and it does make sense, please leave me a comment and let me know that you are taking care of yourself, that you are trying to quell the thoughts, that you are trying to let go of the the sort of frigidity of this relationship, even if it once at one point in time was really good and an important relationship. Does that make sense? Things change, things evolve. And sometimes, things, relationships have to die. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. And I kind of get a feeling that's what's going on here. I hope that makes sense, not to sound too bleak or meager or weird or whatever, but that's kind of what I'm sensing is what's going on here and what the message is from these cards the last 2 days. I look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow to see how this builds. We do have the Queen of Pentacles coming in towards the end of the week, so things should be getting better, but we'll see how that all transpires. Please hit the thumbs up button and subscribe to the channel, and I look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow. Thank you so very much for your viewership, and I love you all. All right, take care. Bye-bye.